The ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, an MP for Bosa North, James Agaga, says that the minority in Parliament will resist any attempt to commit Ghanaian soldiers to Niger as part of the ECOWAS standby force. ECOWAS leaders yesterday activated a standby force for a possible military intervention in Niger, where the junta has toppled the government of President Mohamed Bazoum. But James Agaga says the minority will not allow such an action to be taken. He's on the line to help us appreciate really the origin of this position. Hello, good evening, sir. James Agaga, Member of Parliament for Bosa South. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. He's a minority spokesperson on Defense and Interior. And this is a collective decision by the ECOWAS body. I'm sure after the decision has been taken, if troops will have to be committed, the right thing will have to be done. So are we not jumping the gun by resisting it even before anything is tabled before Parliament?
Yes, good evening to your listeners. By the way, I'm the MP for Bosa North. My brother, Clement
apologies. It's always confusing. Yes.
Well, first of all, in response to your question, the ECOWAS has already taken its decision. The authority of heads of state and government have actually met and, at first instance, invoked the, if you like, collective security mechanism, which was actually provided for in the revised ECOWAS protocol, which allows them to intervene in member states where democratically elected governments have been overthrown. They did that without making a room or provision for the exhaustion of diplomatic efforts aimed at ending the impasse. I mean, in Niger, I thought that was most regrettable and unfortunate. You know, you use force as a last resort, but ECOWAS purported to use force, I mean, at first instance, and that is what has created a lot of confusion, I mean, in the sub-region. Then they followed up. The chiefs of defense staff of the various member states were ordered to meet and begin to plan towards a possible deployment of our troops. After the chiefs of defense staff, I mean, had met and agreed on a roadmap, the Nigerian president found it necessary to bring up the matter before his country's Senate. There was heated debate, and at the end of the day, the Senate roundly rejected any use of force in Niger.
But Honorable, you know that in the Nigerian system, he did so maybe out of courtesy, but he was not really required by law to do so.
Why do you say he did that out of courtesy? Why? You want to mobilize your country's armed force? You want to commit troops? And it is inevitable that when you commit troops to war, lives will be lost, right? You're going to spend your country's resources financing a war in another country, and you think that you can do that without recourse to the representatives of the people that you lead? I mean, that statement is neither here nor there. Even in the United States, check. The president cannot declare war without recourse to Congress. So those are the best practices. And so all we are saying is that in the Ghanaian case, so far our president has not accorded the respect that Parliament ought to be accorded in this matter. He needs to come before Parliament and justify why Ghana must commit troops to Niger. Has that happened yet? You want to commit Ghanaian lives to go and fight in Niger? You would spend Ghanaian resources, money, to finance a war in Niger at a time when we are having serious economic challenges, at a time when the Bank of Ghana is on the verge of collapse. You think you don't need the people's approval or consent? So please, this is a very serious matter. We must not play with these things. They know that they have to come to Parliament. Why are they unwilling to come to Parliament?
Why do you think they are unwilling to come to Parliament? Why do you think they are unwilling to come to Parliament if they really know that?
They have gauged the public mood and are very certain that if they bring up this matter before Parliament, Parliament will shoot it down, like the Senate of Nigeria did. That is why they are not ready to come before Parliament. You see, when ECOWAS decided to intervene in the Gambia, all right, Ghana committed troops. And when we committed about 250 troops to the Gambia, the minister, after so many calls have been made, he was prompted. I'm talking about the Minister for Defense, that his actions were unconstitutional because he didn't come before our parliament to seek approval. He subsequently came. And when he came, we were very clear. We made it very clear in the debate that henceforth, Ghana's troops must never be committed to go to another country and engage in, interventions to either reinstate governments or remove governments without recourse to Parliament. Without recourse to Parliament.
But the decision, the decision really was just firmed up yesterday, Honorable. The decision was just firmed up yesterday.
No, it wasn't firmed up yesterday.
No, it was yesterday they firmed it up. The earlier one was a threat by Tinubu.
No, it was not a threat by Tinubu. Tinubu cannot act unilaterally. Tinubu, as chairman of ECOWAS, convened a meeting of the authority of heads of state and government, and they met in Abuja, threatened to use force. There was a resolution to that effect before they then ordered the chiefs of defense staff to meet and then come out with a roadmap.
But is it not in the normal course of things that you restore the democratic order, or we force you to do so? And in staying true to our pronouncement, we are getting the standby force ready by getting the chiefs of staff to begin work. And so the fact that they've signaled military intervention doesn't necessarily mean that military intervention is the first option. And so maybe just a matter of time, President will come to Parliament and seek Parliament's approval or consent or get a resolution on Parliament.
You don't threaten. They have already resolved to deploy armies. So the question to ask is, when you do that, are you not putting the cat before the donkey? What happens if you come to Parliament and Parliament says, don't move? You cannot deploy our army. What happens? So you would have deceived ECOWAS, not so? And so you see, you don't engage in actions that would send a certain signal that you don't even believe in the rule of law, right? You don't believe in good governance, right? And so because you don't believe in good governance, Parliament doesn't matter. You don't want to subject yourself to scrutiny because they must come to Parliament and justify why, at this point in time, Ghana should commit troops to Niger. We commit precious Ghanaian lives to go to Niger and fight at a time when ECOWAS itself hasn't been very consistent in the way and manner they have applied their protocols over the period. Come to think of it, why are they selectively applying, their protocols on, which says when there are violent overthrow of democratically elected governments, ECOWAS can intervene. But at the same time, that same protocol talks about ECOWAS interventions, possible interventions, when there are, massive human rights abuses and violations and disrespect for the rule of law. And so you see that, look, in Guinea, when Alpha Condé was misbehaving, he amended the constitution to contest for a third term, and the citizens decided to demonstrate. Several of them were killed, they were tear gassed, and so on. ECOWAS kept quiet. When the rights of the Guineans were being violated, right? So you see, we have to be serious. If you decide to selectively apply your protocols, you see, you wouldn't have the support of the people. The ECOWAS actions must be preventive. Hello?
I'm with you.
Yes, the ECOWAS, actions must be preventive. So where where, for instance, there is bad governance, there's the massive abuse of human rights, there's total disregard for the rule of law, and that is the time ECOWAS should usually, intervene. But if you don't intervene, you sit back and allow the people to express their discontent, their grievances, and the expression of their grievances crystallize into military coups. And then ECOWAS springs onto its feet and decides to intervene at that point. People would legitimately question ECOWAS. You see, and that is what we're doing now. I don't support coups, but the posturing of ECOWAS is totally unacceptable. And that is why we are saying that let them bring the matter before Parliament. We would raise all these issues. We would debate. And at the end of the day, the will of our people would be expressed through Parliament on the question of whether or not we should deploy our gallant soldiers to fight in Niger. That's the point we're making.